Everyone, welcome back. This is going to be a new Houdini tutorial. This is a pretty popular effect, but we're going to look at some different ways to approach it, and it's basically a ribbon trail. So let's get started. All right, let's go ahead and head over to Mixamo, and here we go. Go at mixamo.com. If you don't have a subscription or whatever, you'll have to just sign in. It is free. I think it's still free. So when we log in, we have characters and animations up here. Um, the character that I have picked is just a normal mannequin because it doesn't really matter what they look like for this effect. Then under animations, I'm gonna pick something that's dance. For this effect, it's kind of nice to have some pretty big sweeping motions, so I'm just gonna use this one here, which this one actually loops pretty nice, so that's cool. Um, gonna increase the arm space a little bit, and I think that works. Okay, so I'm just gonna go ahead and hit pause and hit download. I'm gonna change our frames per second to 24 because that's what we are natively in Houdini. FBX with skin and keyframe reduction to none, and just hit download. And that's gonna download, and we'll go ahead and head over to Houdini here in a second and get started. All right, it's downloaded. So here we are in Houdini. Let's go ahead and make a geo container, dive in, and then now what we want to do is use an FBX character import, which is a cool node. And then we'll just pick our FBX file there, hit accept, and we've got our mannequin in a T-pose, so we don't have the animation here. So let's take a look at our outputs just to see what we get from this node. And you don't have to do this part if you're following along. I'm just doing it to show you what this node brings in. So look here. We roll over this little circle, and we can see that's our rest geometry. So that's our rest pose. And then here is the skeleton. So the capture pose, and then the animation pose is our animation, which we have here. Very, very easy. I only have about 30 frames because I don't want it to take a long time to render this stuff, but it'll be enough to show you the effect. So how do we get that animation applied to our geometry here? Well, we have a node for it, of course, and it's called the bone deform. And if we hook up the bone deform and highlight that, now we've got our animation on our character. And I'm going to go ahead and just set this to 30 frames. That, or actually 24 frames, right? We have 1 second of animation at 24 frames. That should loop. Great. All right, so now we've got animation. So now what are we going to do with this data? All right. Well, we're going to need some points. So we're going to scatter some points along this geometry. But we can't just do a straight scatter and have this work because the points are going to change at every frame. Let's see in here. Once we put animation on this, so let me just take our animated stream to show you what I'm talking about. You see the numbers on those points are changing with every frame. So we don't want that because if the point numbers are constantly changing, we can't really use it for geometry copying or anything like that. But we do have there's a way around this, and it's really easy to do. We just use the point deform, and this node we're gonna take our rest geometry into the first, or actually let's see here. We're gonna take the geometry that we wanted to form, which is our scatter, which is this geometry here. I was confusing myself there for a second. Um, so the geometry that we wanted to form is is the scatter, and it's going in here. The next thing we want is the rest point lattice, which is the rest pose right here. And then the last thing that we want is the deform point lattice, which is our from our point deform. And now our points are deforming and their point numbers aren't going to change. And once we have this, we can do quite a bit with this. I'm just going to show a couple quick setups. But getting to this point, you should already be thinking of all the things that you can do with this kind of point data. So the first thing that we're going to do, let's go ahead and build some trails. So we'll just go in and make a trail node. So you can see we'll start to get a trail. So the length, let's go ahead and crank this up. Zoom out just to look at the trail. That should be enough. Let's put the increment to a little bit. And then we're going to set our result as, let's try connected as polygons. There we go. And then down here, uncheck close rows. And now you'll see we've got some nice lines. That look even cool just like this. So the lines are a little bit stepped, but we can definitely fix that. Go in, add a resample, change that to subdivision curves, and uncheck maximum length. We'll go to segments, and we'll just crank that up a bit. That, and then now we just drop down a sweep. Our surface type to round tube. Bring that radius way down. Something like that. Or we could even use a ribbon, which looks that's going to look pretty cool as well. So last up, let's just throw down and adjust color. In our resample, let's go down here and enable the curve view attribute. And then in our color, let's go ahead and set this to remap. And let's set that to curve view. Now I get this nice rainbow color. And this obviously can be edited to do whatever you want. That. Now when we play it back, we get this really cool effect, which is great. Then if we want to, we can just go up to our deformed geometry, plug that into a merge, and now you can see we get those points on our character. Okay, we are back after that crash. Um, I'm not exactly sure what happened, but on the safe side, we were basically gonna have our character um, be with the ribbons at the same time. So let's go ahead and do that. I'm just gonna copy this FBX and this bone deform and not use the same one because that's what crashed before. So hopefully this doesn't crash. Let's see. Yeah, took a second to load, but works. Might even be worth caching this out. Um, it's taken some time to calculate, but I've got probably got too high res of curves, but you can see super cool. Um, Pretty awesome effect. But we can also, there's a lot of other stuff we can do with this setup because basically what we've got here, I'm just gonna make it null. We've just got points, right? So there we can do all kinds of stuff with points. Let's copy something to points. So here is, there's our points. Let's grab some spheres or a sphere, put that in here, turn it into polygons. Let's do an attribute randomize. Color, and then we're going to duplicate it, make another one, run this over our P scale, set that to 1 dimension, 0.5, and maybe 1, and then bring the scale down. Still animated, which is super cool. I gotta change my frame rate back here. And what's great with this setup is it's incredibly dynamic, right? Like I can change these spheres. The other things we can do with this is let's do a VDB from polygons. Now we have like a big mushroom character, which is really cool. So we can just convert this back. So convert to polygons. Good. Change this to something a little bit tighter. That's probably too low. Try 0.05. There we go. That works. And we can do a VDB smooth as well. And we get this. So we get a cool mushroom character. Boop, boop, boop. And if we want to, we can always change the size of our spheres. We get a completely different look. Another thing we can do with this, let's make it big again, is we can throw a mountain sop on here. And really, the sky's the limit. I'm literally just playing at this point. So let's change fractal off, put animated noise on. Let's bring the element size maybe down a bit, and watch what this does. Crazy cool. All off of one animation. You could do some really pretty cool stuff with this. And the last thing I'll show real quick is grab our points again, and we could run this into a pop net. And what we're not going to see, anything right away. Let's just dive in, go to our source, mission type. Let's just do points. Get this. Some other stuff with this. Force. Gravity. We can go back to our articles here. And we can crank this birth rate up. Let's say 25,000. Start to get stuff like this. And we can throw in a ground plane. So, oops. So now you can see the particles are interacting with the ground. Let's go ahead and just add a few more frames here. That's actually pretty cool. We can make the particles stop at frame 24. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to keep it going like that. You can also add some into the particles to keep it moving. Let's go ahead and just make them go up. So pretty cool. Lots of stuff that can be done um, with this setup. So sky's the limit. Thanks, everyone.